that you're finished with that you think could break or, spill, then it might be a good idea to bring that over there before, as soon as you can. Okay, so we're going to start the second half of the open mic with Greg Bai. So please say hello to Greg.
Right.
I wanted to start off briefly with a recommendation for a book. It's Michael Roommaker's Robert Duncan in San Francisco. It's a memoir and cultural history set in mid-50s in San Francisco, cultural history. And Joanne Kiger had this to write about it, the fine words in the back. In this fine memoir of his 16 months in San Francisco, Roommaker learns many lessons about being at home with who he is and what he calls Robert's city. Michael Roommaker graduated from Black Mountain College in the spring of 1955, and Robert Duncan was his outside examiner to make sure he was ready to graduate. And he graduated and returned to Philadelphia, and that was his hometown, and worked off some debts he had. And he became friends with Robert Duncan, and Robert encouraged him to move to San Francisco. And Robert was openly gay at a time when that was not an option for the vast majority. Here's what Michael wrote. Robert was unabashedly and openly queer at a time when practically everybody in America, from Senator Joe McCarthy on up, was a terminal closet case. It wasn't, chances are if you came out or were outed, probably most likely the latter, you wouldn't get hired or you'd lose your job. So that would kind of put a damper on things. And what else was I was going to say? Okay, it was environment. This was a fact even in Renaissance San Francisco. And like I said, chances are you would be outed, most likely by the police in a sting operation. And here's what Michael Roommaker wrote about that. I was to learn in my 1.5-year stay in San Francisco that it was indeed a police city. There was, in spite of the extraordinary quality of light over the city, a heavy climate of fear. Not so much from the violence which occurred, although there was enough of that, but rather from the activities and presence of the police themselves. This was particularly true for gay men. There was also the burgeoning narcotics squad with their beginnings of the wider use of drugs, but the moral squad was everywhere, and the entrapment of gay males in the streets, the parks, and in the numerous public places was a constant fear and common occurrence. Often, the most handsome, hung, desirable-looking cops were used for these plainclothes operations. I often wondered who did the selecting. And now, a poem by Robert Duncan, The Drinking Fountain. Garcia Lorca tasted death at this drinking fountain, saw a dead bird sing inside this mountain, heard a childless woman curse this drinking fountain. Garcia Lorca drank life from this drinking fountain, witnessed the witless poor sleeping inside this mountain, returned at night to praise this public drinking fountain. Garcia Lorca stole poetry from this drinking fountain, sang and twanged the mandolin of this slumbering Spanish mountain, fell down and cried in Granada. This is the drinking fountain. And as Lorca stole that poem from that fountain, I stole this poem from a friend's Facebook timeline. Briefly, she's not aware of that, so we'll disguise her identity. We'll call her Divine Mistress M. She's originally from New York, Brooklyn to be exact, and now living in Connecticut on a farm where she raises prize-winning birds and also provides a warm and nurturing environment for lots of creatures, great and small. Okay. Breaking news. Newly developed antibodies attack 99% of HIV strains. It is built to attack 3 critical parts of the virus. Now harder for HIV to resist its efforts. Divine Mistress M's post comment. This is incredible. Of course, this won't be the first horrible, incurable virus or disease to attack a warming planet with too many people on it. But this is fantastic news. My reply, oh, such cynicism, young lady. Divine Mistress M reply, yeah, I should just take this as a big plus and not comment on what seems like reality in my mind. That reality is a little hard to stomach and harder to live with. Are you aware of the natural course of things? When a species is invasive, the Earth will fight back, even on the viral level. It is a fucking miracle if we can cure this one. It has taken many of my friends, and more live with the virus version. Tragically, I can't help but think the more the planet warms and the more the government cuts our public health care, we'll be seeing more of these episodes. Our short history on this planet is full of plagues and cures. The very idea people should not have health care will be the actual death of us all. As much as I am in awe of this development, I am more concerned with the big picture. A cure requires follow-up. It does look like Obamacare will continue, so follow-ups are available, for this season anyway. The environment and nutrition is a huge issue, and I'm not talking about this year's virus, but the next one, perhaps carried by mosquitoes, fed by the warmer climate, occurring in areas where it is least expected, because there is usually a hard freeze. Furthermore, humans are now weaker because they eat shit food provided by huge corporations. Do you know also our food makeup has changed because of CO2 in the environment? Yeah, I'm cynical, but I think it's realistic cynicism. My pale response. Damn, woman, can you generate language? I was merely responding to what I thought was your equating of the humans on the planet with a virus to be eradicated. Reads like a frightful jag in a scientific fiction story. Perhaps something William Burroughs would come up with. If that virus eradication program ever gets out, I'm in the ovens. Do you understand that? Can you hear me? Next up, Minroud Sky. The eggs are all cracked and fried. Divine Mistress M. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg, and thanks for the book recommendation. Before I was a student at the Jack Kerouac School of Dissipated Poetics in Boulder, Colorado, I didn't know who Robert Duncan was. But I was fortunate enough to meet there Lisa Jarneau, who became a friend but was a teacher of mine. And at the time she was working on a major biography of Robert Duncan called Ambassador for Venus, and it's a great book. So anyway, I wanted to give another shout out to Robert Duncan, to recommend that you read him, and also to check out Lisa's book if you want to know more about him and about the San Francisco Renaissance. And there are other good books on the San Francisco Renaissance too, so talk to me if you want to know more about that subject. Okay, and now we're going to hear from Jerry Raining Bird. Come on up, Jerry.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a while. I have 2 poems. One is about my grandmother. She passed while I was in grad school. It's about life and death, but more about just really happy memories, and it's called I See Her Still. I see her still, greeting the morning sun, with a silent cry and sweetgrass, giving thanks, offering tobacco, not knowing the deep creases that lined her face and chocolate hands came from countless seasons of cooking, gathering wood, washing clothes, mending, sewing, and raising brown children. I see her still, sitting beside an evening fire, smiling without teeth, listening to laughter and shrieks of her grandchildren. Her graying and silver hair tied in 2 braids behind her back, moving with soundless grace, stoking the red coals in her black stove, even on summer nights when the heat was unbearable. I see her still watching the stars in silence, gently brushing the hair from my forehead, and I would see trickles of sweat make their trails down the crevices that showed her years. I see her still working in her kitchen, wiping her gnarled fingers with the hem of her plain, ageless cloth dress, while I sat in her favorite wooden chair, watching, listening to her stories of how it used to be. I see her still smiling in wonder, giggling, her bent body moving to invisible music that reminded her of her youth. And I, too, remember, savoring the moment, inspired by her spirit. This one is about blood donations and blood quantum and the idea that only American Indians in this country are required to show the amount of blood that they have that proves they're Indian, and the only other species in this country required to do that are dogs. Wow. Giving blood. Red Cross called yesterday asking for blood because, having given blood before, I was told I'm O negative, universally compatible. So without hesitation, I gave again, playing the role of generous Indian. But now, as I look at the blue Band-Aid covering the needleworks, I ponder that perhaps did I just lose a pint of my indigenousness? No longer a full-blooded tribal member? That now, somewhere in the city of roses, someone has some of my nativeness. Have I, in my moment of native generosity, inadvertently given a stranger unwritten permission to announce her blood now includes not a Cherokee princess, but rather a Cree wannabe poet? Does he or she now have the ancestral memories embedded in their veins that inspires them to spontaneously want to share some ancient wisdom, chant, dance, and visit the res and do ceremony, sit on the hill, seek a special spirit guide? All, of course, without the actual sacrifice, pain, and suffering my ancestors experienced. Does this mean my own Indianness has diminished without my knowing? Not understanding fully the ramifications and consequences of giving my blood to strangers? That by donating that pint of red, I mistakenly adopted Portlandia into our tribe. And now when I walk down Hawthorne and look at pale people passing by, I wonder and want to ask somewhat seriously, but mostly in fun, are you my blood brother? My now adopted sister? Auntie, uncle, niece, nephew? And if they got the call, is my tribe expanding with every Red Cross blood drive? And what do I tell my people back in Montana? That, hey, our tribe now needs a satellite office somewhere on Alberta or Belmont. And we demand the right to vote in the next tribal election. Damn it. And with all my new relatives, maybe I'll run for chief. All because Red Cross needed blood. And being the generous Indian I am, I gave a damn. And a pint of O negative. Thank you.
I don't always get to sit so close while things are going on. It's like the IMAX version of Ghost Town. It's great. Next we are going to hear from Jim Martin. Come on up, Jim.
All right.
See the rage or the booze. Well, I saw Steve Williams' book sitting right next to me while I had lunch today. And I thought, let me just take a look at it. And I opened to the first poem, and there was a line in there about hate scores, hate always scores. And I was over there. I was going to write a poem. I was going to read that and write a poem that came to my mind at the moment about hate always scores, because I learned playing football, basketball, baseball, and all that hate does score, that most of those players hate. But if you're really good, skilled, focused, you score, and you score more. And so I sat down there and diligently wrote, sucks. So next month I'll bring Steve Williams' book. And this is the poem I was going to read. My sea. You'll have to figure out, I guess. By the sea, swells roll in the distance, rise as they touch the bottom, grow to great heights, then fall, crashing, tumbling. A sheet of clear, bubbly water races toward my feet, stops so quickly, lingers, then slides back to the sea. Should I bleed to death, it will be because I have left the sea within me, sustains me, my sea. Oh, sea, in your waters what you carry, seen and unseen. You are where I am from. You're in my blood, my sea, swelling, racing, roaring, salty are you. Molecule for molecule, the marvelous door that opened the land to those like me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Steve Williams, thank you for coming. Steve Williams, previous feature, friend of this series, for a long time host of a great series at In Other Words books that I really miss called Figures of Speech, with his wife Em, who's a powerful poet in our community, and a really tall guy. But one of the reasons why you might want to pick up that book 13 is the really cool illustrations. He's also a really good sort of draftsman, does these, there are these like, I think they're pencil drawings, right, in 13? So anyway, you might want to check those out. It's a great book. Yeah. Yeah, Steve's really, really great as an artist as well. You got your pen, sir. And next we're going to hear from Scott, who I'm sure will know what to do with this microphone.
Thanks, Christopher. Hello, beautiful people.
Hello, beautiful person.
Thank you all for sticking around. This is a nice, intimate group we have this evening. Good energy, though. Maybe a little melancholy in the room tonight. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. We'll try to warm you back up. Bagel bottom, muffin top. Between coffees, soft spot. The body, breaking breakfast, batter badness, brilliant spectra, sleeping coughs, swallow it, nasal stack, mucous membrane, blood brain, barrier reef, sickness, stillness, outside best, stress test, silly sleep, lie awake, crack toes, finish poem, nothing fits, and starts, never left, behind buoy, round boulder.
All right.
Chilly Seattle morning, a damn fine cup of coffee. Late October sunshine, though I didn't let you know I was. Coming this way, detoured near Nachos, so good until angry Airbnb hosts at ending. Get the fuck out of here, you're a terrible person. I am a lawyer and I want $500 right now because this place is a grease pit. How dare you have so much fun? This is only for something else. But what? Did I tell you about the majestic hike? Weren't expecting snow, but what you gonna do about it? Walk all the way around through tasty mountain views and slickery, slushy, mucky, brilliantly beautiful trails for finding a way home. 2 eggs, sausage, whole wheat with butter, a couple sugars. I think it's gonna be a good day. I'll see to that, says Grandpa. Might slip this off. Cotton ball, blanket, dirtied mat, and sheet, and street grime soaks in uniform. Here's to coffee, I guess. Cheers to focus on. Don't spill, the beans brew. Reflect on all the little details to stave the waiting for you to walk by. Feel sorry for feeling like privilege is worthless if you don't know what you want. Assume I can always go back inside. Not like the couple of colors standing with sign flying by the 99th Street Transit Center. I could get off the bus, give them $20, but I just sit here. Feeling it's not just my sadness, not just a chemical reaction, it's in the air, in the soil, whatever's left alive cries out. They cut down the little twisty Dr. Seussy cedar grove out back. I return to the kitchen window, double take, shock. All chips and rounds of logs, they hired them to carry out the killing based on expert opinion. It was all fucked anyway. Cut the trees down to build houses. Cut the trees down so they don't fall on our houses. Cut the trees down for room to grow. Cut the trees down. Just hug them first. It must be getting bad, because I'm watching TV. Admitting defeat, letting time slip away in episodic segments, I learn to sit down, shut up, let the mind hunter in. News report promises melancholia will miss us. But there's plenty of stuff fucked enough to tune in for tomorrow. I can't just leave you like that, cowering at the end of a page, all dark and irresponsible. Is it oral fixation, drug addiction, or miraculous medicine? It's not dependence, I guess, just that this makes you go away. Even the keel, level the heading, pee out ketones, drunk on sugar. If you give up, oh, boundless fantasy, then what's left when the batteries die? Nothing left to Slurpee. I drank your milkshake, didn't wait for consent to come of age. Ending on a smile, I'm the same pleasant face as always, alive or dead. At least we had fun. Thanks.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I just needed to do a little filing. Okay. Next we're going to hear from Diane Kammer. Come on up, Diane.
I did want to say, I should have said this earlier, I guess. A reminder that there's Wordstock this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It is on Saturday. It's at the Portland Art Museum. It's $18, free if you're a veteran or if you're 17 and under. And it's a day long, like from 9 in the morning to like 5 at night, of multiple famous authors and workshops, and for $18 it's like the best bet. I mean, the best deal ever. So
Ta-Nehisi's gonna be there.
what's that?
Ta-Nehisi Coates is gonna be there.
There's a ton of people, and if you just go on wordstock.com, there's a list of all the authors, so it's amazing. Okay, so I just have two short poems. Her name is Plain. She wears jeans, hoodie, sneakers from Target. Wednesdays, she curls her long brown hair. But in photo class, when she assembles a face from cutout pictures, her eyes are long lashed, dark lined. Her nose has piercings, one thin hoop and a small silver heart. Her ear has a borrow of 5 perfect diamonds, and her lips, bright red, blow pink smoke into a sultry, dark night.
Nice.
One more. The apple tree. We walk to the apple tree, holding hands. Too late, the wind is already cold. The leaves brown and broken, the fruit small and shriveled. Even the worms have died. But still, you find it. One small apple, tiny, ripe, juicy, crisp and red. Together we share a single bite of what is good and sweet, drop the core, and slip the memory like a love note between our sticky, clasped hands.
Thanks, Diane. Oh, yeah, so time for a few brief announcements. One is that the workshop that I teach, which is called The Work, is now happening twice a month. The Saturday version of it, which happens next door at Niche at 11:30, typically on the second Saturday will be on the first Saturday of the month in December, so that's why I'm mentioning it at this reading. December 2nd from 11:30 to 2:30, the first half hour people get, purchase coffee and tea, people bring snacks to share, and then from 12 to 2:30 you will read and write poetry together. I try to get people out of there with like 3 or 4 drafts of new poems before we're finished. Then we have a little bit of time to share some of that work with each other at the end. And we just added in October a Monday evening version of this, and the next one of those I believe is the 27th of November. Whatever that first Monday is after Thanksgiving will be that Monday, the next Monday edition of the work. So tell your friends. There are some people in the room that have taken it before, so don't take my word for it. You can I can hook you up with them, or they can let you know what they thought about it. And the other thing is, Toni asked me to read a note to you. The note has to do with Poetry Moves. So we're just finishing up, finalizing, who the winners are going to be for the next round of poems that will be on the buses. These are the ones that will be adults from Clark County that'll be up from January through June. And so right now, if you hop on one of the C-Tram buses, we still have students from the Poets in the Schools program I started. So hop on there and check those out. But starting in January, some people from the community will be on there again. And this was something that ended up being really a part of the sort of under the auspices of the Poet Laureate. So since my extended term as the Poet Laureate of Clark County is coming to an end, the next Poet Laureate will take over Poetry Moves, and Printed Matter Vancouver will not be a part of it then. So so this is all related to what Toni wants me to read to you, because it has to do with the Poets in the Schools program, which will continue to be mine because I created it. It was one of my dreams. I had to start a Poets in the Schools program here, and we did it. So here's what Toni had to say. Thank you, Ghost Town Poetry Community. Last month we launched our Poets in the Schools 2018 fundraising goal. This cute little cookie tin is where we're taking funds from people who want to donate. Our goal is to raise $1,700 by April 12th to support our teaching poets work in the schools of Clark County for next year. Last month, you generously gave $186 toward that goal. That leaves $1,513.90 left to raise. We appreciate any amount, small to large, to fund the work of putting poets in K-12 classrooms in Clark County. Thank you. So, so Poets in the Schools is really grassroots. It's small. I think there's 5 of us right now, including me, And the biggest challenge probably is finding the classrooms that want us, but once we find them, people have been very happy, and we've had hundreds of student contacts, and so it's a great program. So if that's something that you want to support, we're going to be raising money for it at every ghost town, and like she said, we have a goal of trying to raise this amount by April 12th, and it's really a relatively small amount for the services that are being provided. So I'm hoping that the community will step up and help us out with that. Okay, and one of the things that I have to tell you, the last thing I want to say about poets in the schools is, our teachers are put upon. There are some of them who know about poetry and some of them who don't. They're, doing this thankless job, and, sometimes even if they're a great teacher, a lot of it ends up being crowd control, and so, there's, even the ones who would love to do a lot of stuff about poetry don't necessarily get to do that, and so it's really a special thing for them and the students to bring one of our teaching poets in, and it really does, it can change their lives, and it can really help to instill a love of poetry in them. So I hope that this will continue for a long time, even if we stay at a relatively small scale. I don't care how long it's at a small scale, as long as we're providing the great, service to the students here in Clark County. Okay, so end of commercial announcements, and but I have one more commercial announcement that has to do with our next reader. Ian Caton and I will be co-features at a reading called Songbook PDX at Post 134 in Alberta on November 18th. And this is a reading where all of the people are asked to choose a song that had a particular meaning for them in their life, and then to write a piece based on that song. And what's really cool about Songbook PDX too is that they play the song while you're up there on stage, and then you read your piece. So anyway, if you want to see us do that, November 18th, right there in Alberta, Post 134, it's an American Legion Hall that's doing great stuff for the literary community. What's up, Jim?
What time does that start?
I think it's a 7 o'clock. Yeah, I think it's a 7 o'clock thing, and I think there's about 6 of us. So anyway, tonight and November 18th, you can see Mr. Ian Caton. Come on up, Ian.
Yeah.
So thanks for mentioning that thing about the songbook. It's called Songbook PDX. It's going to be pretty interesting and fun. I'm like 2/3 the way through my piece. I still got a few more pieces, spots to put in there, but I got like the brainstorm of it done. But yeah, like music has always been one of my main interests and one of my main inspirations into how I write poetry. And so like when I first went to the first Songbook PDX, I was like, fuck, I gotta get there. How can I get on the stage at Post 134 and read, And so like, I'm gonna be there. It's like a dream come true, It's neat. So good people. Adam Strong's the MC. He's a teacher over there at Heritage High School. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna read a piece from somebody's dead already, from Tongo Eisen Martin.
Yeah.
He was just here a couple of months ago. I'll just read the first one. Repeating. From a 2-floor skyline, an abandoned house talked to me. It said, "Young man, you are heroic and 10 years old. Among 20 generations of friends will fall away. Free fall up. Free fall to walls with 5th grade speed to industrial paint behind secondhand fences. Young man, use quick knife tones. Be bone and brass. Be last laugh music. You are always leaving. Always one change of clothes from the door. A life in escape. 2-floor skyline said, you are the guy that dies in the middle. The friend more blues than skin. The face that cheap hotel schizophrenics can place with 90-mile-per-hour right eyes. Among dry heat killers, once children, 3 feet high, and roaming and repeating and aiming at cotton mirrors that hang on breathing walls. You are 10 years old, tagging along, yawning at well-lit violence, whistling tool shop songs. You will be useful. You will be high and alone, flying on a nephew dragon from a $20 family in a sky that calls itself just more soil. Around walls that are just walls, except those walls suggest you make wives out of hives and currency. Here the air is polite to sleepy glass and bullying walls. Young man, you will admit that sometimes suicide is power. Some people live stronger as ghosts. And sometimes the afterlife empties. Billions of souls enter objects like playground bullets and abandoned door frames. Even broken glass will prove it has voice too. There are 24 hours behind your back. Look over your shoulder right now. Can you hear it? The sound of drums punching themselves out. The sound of piano parts learned in between assassination attempts. Be bone and be brass. Be bone enough for 2 souls. Be invincible again. Suffer. Red-eyed accents. Professional fingertips. Our gifted victims. 6 in the morning beer. That first month of probation. The shout at the wall. See these words that shouldn't be home. Look behind you again. Be invisible, invincible again. Probably invisible too. Be invincible again. Be windward. Be a sad machete. Be her son. Be a thief. Steal them back. Laugh too long. Never look away. The afterlife will empty and walk you home.
Yes.
I want to read his stuff every day and put it inside me right now because it's so pertinent right now. He writes this other one about a president that wants to kill us. And I'm like, I think that was written before the guy we have now, so that makes me even fucking trip out a little bit even more. So.
Beautiful.
Here's a song, Bryce was going to play it with me. We were just kind of fucking around on some chords and stuff like that, and I think it's going to work out. But if, Bryce, do you mind doing this? Come on, you got to get up here in the limelight. Is it Verba?
Shram.
Bryce Strand, everybody. Woo! My accompanist. So you just like play out through those. Just like ding, 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 ding. Just lay out that. Just lay on that one right there. Right there, just lay it out. You make. Here we go. You may call it homelessness, but I'm just without a home at this time. Think I drank something fun, it took me out of my mind. Alright, here we go. Let's start over. You may call it homelessness, but I'm just without a home at this time. Think I drank something fun, it took me out of my mind. The finest on the road I put up before me, rain's coming down. I got no reason to frown. I got a new place to go, cause I'm camping on the side of the road in Portland, Oregon. I see the traffic lights before me, they're all red. Tell me to slow it down, see I'm hitting the ground. High on the sound of hot 18-wheelers trucking in from out of town. On the way to Portland, Oregon. Let me over here. Alright, here we go. You know I'm camping on the side of the road in Portland, Oregon. And I don't see no reason to stop. Okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. That's good. The freeway's never free, but it seems that way to me. Because they leave me alone for the most part. And you know I'm doing fine camping on the side of the road, Portland, Oregon. I can get my meals for free. I can go ahead and see that this is between three hots and a cot. And then, I'm gonna read that again. I can go, all right, let's do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I can get my meals for free. I can go ahead and see that there's three hots in a cot when I dumpster dive. You know it makes me feel alive on the side of the railroad tracks as I'm camping on the side of the road out in Portland, Oregon. You know you hear it all the time, why we choose to stay outside. Or it's a circumstance I never had the chance that others might have got. So I'll just stick to myself and my folks as we camping on a road out on the side of the road in Portland, Oregon. Yeah. You know I'm camping on the side of the road in Portland, Oregon. And I don't see no reason to stop. I'm talking hip hop. I got no reason to stop. You hear the beats as they drop. Just trying to cop. I got to rock hip hop down the block. You see me squat, and I will stop on the side of the road in Portland, Oregon. Something like that. Nice man, everybody.
Boy, Bryce, that was soft improv.
That's all I'm good at.
Thanks, guys.